So there are devices out there that measure ground contact time when we're out running and tell us if we have imbalances between the left and the right leg in terms of how much time we spend on each. And that can potentially be useful. Imbalances, if they're significant, obviously can cause injuries, and none of us want that. But I also think that we need to use this capability more systematically to actually dial in and determine if we in fact do have imbalances, and from there on to proceed to figure out what it is that might be causing them, and therefore what, if anything, we should do about them, right? So hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is happy and healthy and getting out there and exercising. And so in this video we're going to talk about how we in fact validate whether in fact we have an imbalance or not, and from there on how we go about determining the cause or causes of it and how we fix it. Now, before we do that, folks, two important things. First of all, nobody is perfectly balanced. There's been tons of studies about this, and they all show that we all have different imbalances at different points in time. The question is simply how big those imbalances are, and therefore how likely they are to lead to injuries. The second thing, we shouldn't try to fix imbalances by changing our gait or anything of that kind. That is only going to lead to greater likelihood of us having injuries. What we really need to do is to dial in and understand the underlying causes and then figure out what to do to fix those. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And to validate if we in fact have an imbalance or not, we'll need to do some running at different paces in different places. However, not on the track. The problem with the track is obviously that when we come to the curved parts, our left and the right leg do different things, and that clearly manifests itself as an imbalance in our running. So we want to most definitely avoid that in this testing. Instead, first, what I would like you to do is to find a flat road, preferably with asphalt, maybe some hard gravel or dirt or something like that, and just go running back and forth on it. Once again, depending on how long it is, you can just go keep running. And do it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and do it at 3 different paces. Do it at your slow zone 2 pace, do it at a more like a medium zone 3 pace, and then do it fast at your sort of zone 4-5 pace. And do each of these for about 5 to 10 minutes each. Next, I want you to find a hill, once again with an even surface, either asphalt or a hard dirt road, and run up and down, up and down, up and down for another 5 to 10 minutes. Now, you could do all of this on a treadmill. I prefer you didn't, because I don't think we run quite the same way on treadmills as we run in real life. I think we all understand that treadmills are powered by motors, and therefore when we run on them, we power ourselves differently than we do in natural runs. Next, whether you're a trail runner or not, I would actually like you to go and do some trail running. Hopefully an undulating trail with rocks and roots. Nothing terribly serious if you're not a trail runner. Certainly something serious if you are. But do that once again for, another 5-10 minutes and something like this, straight up and down, whatever the trail gives you. Next, I would actually like you to take a look at your running shoes, and obviously the outsoles, the bottoms of your shoes, to see if you're wearing them out evenly between the 2 feet. Now, if you all do all of this, you will now have meaningful data to examine, and you can start asking yourself some questions. If you're seeing an imbalance, are you seeing this imbalance throughout, or do you just see it in certain places and at certain speeds? Do you have more of an imbalance when you're running fast versus slow? Do you have an imbalance when you're running uphill versus downhill, or straights, or asphalt or trails? And hopefully you can look at sort of and try to dial it in and see also how it compares to how your shoes are wearing out. Does the ground contact time data correspond to the wear and tear on your shoes, or at least the differences, excuse me, in the wear and tear of your shoes. I think looking at all of that is quite important, and based on this, you can now determine if you have an imbalance and if it's in fact significant enough for you to do anything about it. And what is significant? Well, if it's less than 1% and it just occurs sometimes, maybe there isn't too much to worry about. If it's more than 1% and it's reasonably prevalent, then we probably need to start thinking about what might be causing it and what, if anything, we should be doing about it, right? And so as a next step, we now need to start thinking about some of the potential causes. And, the most obvious and immediate one is, do you have past injuries that are somehow still impacting your running? Did you have a prior ankle injury that maybe never healed completely and is now impacting your ankle flexibility? Or something similar with a hip or a knee, or, maybe even your back. So that's obviously an important thing to look at. The other thing is, do you sort of feel pain or niggles in one leg that you're not feeling in the other? That's obviously a relevant thing. Similarly, what about how your muscles feel? Do you have muscle tension in one leg and some muscles that you don't have in the other? And as an extension of that, how is your mobility? Do your legs sort of have the same level of mobility? Can you do the same thing on sort of the left leg that you can do on the right leg, whether it's squatting or bending or stretching, or any number of exercises that one can do to test sort of the flexibility and the mobility of your legs. It would be pretty unusual for our legs to be equally strong and for us to be able to balance one-legged equally well on both legs. So this is an important one and we need to test it. And the best way to test it is, quite frankly, to do one-legged squats. So you will obviously do one-legged squats first on one leg and then on the other, and see if you can do the same number of squats on both legs. And if it sort of feels the same. And the second thing you need to look for is your balance. Are you equally well balanced on both legs? And in particular, look to see if your knee is sort of caving in. That's obviously a sign of less strength. And also see if you're maybe wobbly. So for those of you who don't do one-legged squats on a regular basis, maybe do a few just to get used to the motion a little bit, and then sort of do the counting and see how many you can do and compare if you're equally strong in both legs. Another thing in terms of strength, and we don't often think about it, but core strength is actually very important to running, since running is actually a twisting, torsional motion. And you can convince yourself of that if you sort of do the running movements in slow motion, lifting up and putting down your legs. You will see that your body is actually twisting quite significantly. And so if you've either had a back injury, or if there is a difference in sort of your core strength from one side to another, that might be a difference that impacts your, running balance as well. And the way to test that is to sort of do side planks and see how long you can hold it on each side. And, if there is a significant difference there, then obviously you have a difference in strength. The final one is sort of, are your legs equally long? And once again, it would be very unlikely for your legs, or anyone's legs for that matter, to be exactly equally long. Just doesn't happen. The question is sort of, is the difference in our leg length significant enough to impact our gait and therefore create sort of a left-right imbalance? And the problem here is that this is not something that any of us can measure on our own. And so if you've done all these other things that we've talked about and you've found things there, it might be worthwhile to sort of go and have sort of someone else, a physical therapist measure your legs to see if they're of equal length. And quite frankly, if the difference between them is significant enough, so you need to do something about it, put something underneath one of your shoes to sort of lift it up a little bit to sort of equalize the length. Those of you who are bicyclists might have come across it, because if you're fitting a bicycle, you will look at things like this. And if you're using a bicycle power meter, you will see differences in the power from the left and the right leg. And if you do, you probably measure and see if there's something that needs to be done in terms of heel lifts or anything like this to fix that. So all of the things that we've talked about, you can obviously either do by yourself or you can go to a physical therapist to help you. But the measurement is something that you will need some professional help with, because there is just no way of doing it and doing it reliably on our own. And so hopefully this will all help you to dial in what might be causing your imbalance. And obviously the remedy will very much depend on sort of the cause. And so if you find out that you have a significant difference in leg strength, then obviously you need to strengthen that weaker leg. The best way to do that is either Bulgarian squats or single-legged squats, depending on where you're at. If you haven't done single-legged squats, maybe start with Bulgarian squats, since those are really sort of supported one-legged squats, and then proceed to one-legged squats. And obviously you're going to let the weaker leg dictate how many reps you're going to do, because what you want is for the weaker leg to catch up with the stronger leg. And so that might mean that you're going to do a less than an optimal number on your stronger leg. But what you want to do is that you tire out your weaker leg, as you would do with any muscle work activity, so it becomes stronger and catches up with the weaker one. Same thing if you need to do side planks to strengthen your core. Obviously you're going to work both sides and make sure that they sort of hopefully reach the same level. Now if you find that sort of you're lacking range of motion in one of your legs, obviously there are various stretches and exercises you can do to work in that. This may be a good area to sort of go and seek out a physical therapist who can help you work on the relevant muscles and other parts of your body to make sure that you in fact improve your mobility so it's more equal between the two sides. And of course, if you discover that you have a significant enough difference in the length of your legs, and you need some lifts or something like this, obviously a professional is the right person to help you with that. And so especially if all of this leads to a conclusion that you need to do some work, whether it's strengthening or whether it's flexibility work, it is obviously good to do that, but it's also good to periodically test yourself and see if your imbalances are improving or not, if you're becoming more balanced. Hopefully you are, because that's obviously the purpose of whatever exercises you're going to be doing or adjustments. But rather than relying on the ground contact data that you get from your day-to-day runs, which hopefully will be improving as well, I would still do some of the exercises that we talked about, just to make sure that you're seeing the data in context, that you're actually improving where you previously were seeing weaknesses, whether it's uphill or downhill, or slow speed or fast speed, or whatever it is. It's sort of a good diagnostic to do on a periodic basis. So in conclusion, does ground contact time serve a purpose? Is it valuable? Yeah, it can be. But once again, I think we need to use it as a diagnostic and use it purposefully in a context to really dial in what it is that's going on. And then on an ongoing basis, once again, use it as a diagnostic to see that we're actually improving. That whatever causes we thought were the causes of our imbalances, whatever exercises we decided to do to improve our weaknesses, are in fact having the desired result. So hopefully you found it useful, and now I want to hear from you. I'm sure some of you have experienced this, have done various things to improve it, so please share with us what you've done and how it's worked. And with that, thanks for watching. Please be well, and we'll talk to you soon again. And if you like this video, by all means, give me a thumbs up as encouragement. Take good care. Bye-bye.